Hello there guys, and welcome back to another live stream. My name's Mike, aka Decimal Punked, and we are in the Unreal Engine 5.5.4 working on my university game, which is C.E.S.A.R. Not the Roman leader, spelt C.E.S.A.R. Anyway, I've noticed every time I load the project up, the ceilings are visible, and it's like whenever I always I hide the ceilings in the editor, because or else we can't see what we're doing. But that's only for the editor, it's not actually in the game, as you can see. So we're going to do a couple of things tonight, guys. I think the title of the stream was more sound effects, adding in a stamina bar, which I had planned, and regarding the UI, obviously the stamina bar is going to be shown on the UI or the HUD, but I also wanted to play around with creating the circular radial progression bar for the looting mechanic. So we're going to start with the sound effects. So I've sourced 3 perfect sound effects for opening the crate, the locker, and the barrel. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to check. I'm actually just going to check these sound cues do have the correct class assigned, because I have OCD and I like to make sure everything is as it should be. The door should have an attempt. No. The door is cast. Hold on. 1 second, guys. Bear with me. Pretty sure it was in there. Get the actor's location. Yes, correct. That's correct. Okay. Right. So, I've also made a blueprint for the HUD. Well, I'm not going to make the UI folder just yet, but it makes sense to keep. So I'll go through the HUD in a minute. I don't want to cross wires. I want to focus on one thing at a time. So sound effects first, then we'll move on to the UI. Welcome to the stream. Right, so under the sound effects folder, I'm going to drop in my 3 new sound effects. Don't know why it's opened it in a new one. If I just pause the music, guys, you'll be able to hear that, hopefully. Okay. So we're going to make a sound cue. I need to pause the music, hold on. Okay. The class is sound effects, and I might just increase the volume by 0.85. Okay, so sound cue crate has the sound effects class. We're gonna move that. Actually, I'll leave that there for the moment. Right, so we're going to create one for the barrel. SQ barrel. I'm going to do 0.85 as well there, and this is going to be sound effects. The reason why we've got these sound classes, guys, is because when we implement the main menu and give the player options to change the settings, this is going to be required. So when we set the user preferences and adjust the the music or the sound effects, this is gonna basically affect that. So sound cue, so 0.85 barrel, locker, SQ locker. Okay, I'm going to save all. Right, and then we're just going to check because again I've got OCD. Sound cue 0.85 SFX, 0.85 SFX, 0.85 SFX, lovely. So now we're going to move these sound cues over to the cues folder, and there they are. Got them in the cues folder. Okay, so what we're now going to do is we're going to go into okay, so we're going to have to play sound 2D. So don't we play a sound? Where did I put the music to be played when the player's looting? There we go. Play sound at location. Okay, so if we you know what would be cool? If we had a sound effects for the fan. So you know that kind of noise for the fan. That would just every little sound effect, every little thing I'm adding in is just extra polish. It's like dusting a 20-tiered cake. Every tier is a sound effect, and at the pinnacle is the game, the end product. So this is all lovely, lovely polish. Right, so we're going to do the barrel, the crate, and then the 4 lockers. So in the barrel, I mean, we could plug it just after here, really, couldn't we? Okay, we'll just do the spawn sound. So you read the description there. Allows users to create audio components and non-spatialized, non-distance attenuated sounds. So it will literally just create the sound, play it, and then the auto destroy will get rid of it afterwards. Non-gameplay actions. See, that's interesting, isn't it? Note that, non-gameplay actions. If we actually go on here, you see the description there, plays the sound directly with no attenuation, perfect for UI sounds. But this isn't a UI sound, I mean, UI sounds are clicks, button clicks and things. I wouldn't class looting a barrel or a locker or a crate as a UI sound. That's an in-game sound. Does this have an auto-destroy? See, it doesn't have an auto-destroy either. So, on that basis, I think Spawn Sound 2D is the best option here. So, we're on the lootable barrel blueprint. So, we're going to go into our queue and we're going to get the barrel and we're going to drop that in there. We'll leave these. I don't even know what concurrency settings are. And then we're going to auto destroy it. So as you can see there, where it will be automatically cleaned up when the sound finishes. So if I just make room and plug that in there, and then if we pause the stream music, we're going to go in and we're going to loot a barrel and check that the sound plays. Listen carefully. You can hear it. I might increase the sound on that. That's better. Can you hear that sound effect? That music is actually quite terrifying. It's Bearcoon. So we need to basically allow the player to basically overlap with that. Because we can get blocked in by the creatures, so we need to sort that. I'm going to add that to the list. So let's just check another barrel. Really happy with that noise. Right, so what's that? Sort collision on creatures. Sort the collision on creatures. Turn off player or exception. Right, so the sound cue barrel's 1-1. And in the BP for the barrel, we've literally just got that. So I'm going to copy that. We're going to compile save. We're going to close the barrel. And then we're going to go into the crate now. And we'll move that along. Paste. And then we're going to drop in the audio sound cue for crate. Plug that in. We're going to compile save and then we're going to test. Okay, so I'm going to do the same for the sound cue on the crate. I'm going to plonk up the volume multiplier to 1 and just test that again. That sound effect for the door is so good. It's really scary, you know, guys. You know the robot's out there. You see how dark the maintenance area is over there? Why have you lost line of sight, bro? Why has he lost line of sight? That's weird. I wonder why. I wonder why he started to lose line of sight. I have not changed anything. Welcome to the stream, Fenella, and thank you for your comment. That's very kind of you. I just want to hear that sound effect one more time for the crate. Okay. I'm happy with that. So that is that done. So I'm going to copy that. We're going to close the lootable crate. And now we just need to do the locker sound effect for these ones. And then we'll test all of the lockers. Locker. Okay, so spawn the sound locker. Save, compile. So that's locker B. Then we're going to go into locker B, locker C. Locker C, compile, save. Locker G. Locker G, and then locker Y for yellow. Plug that in there. Compile, save. Right, so now all 4 lockers have the sound effect plugged in. We're going to pause the stream music and we're going to simulate. Save all first. Have a sip of the coffee. So we're going to go to each sector and test the volume level of the locker. Make sure it sounds right. This red line, by the way, is the collision capsule on the player character. I wanted to see it whilst in game, just to help with debugging and things. Where the hell was the robot then? Are you on about the medieval RPG that I was making? Sword and Scourge? If you're on about Sword and Scourge, that has been completed. Version 1.0 is on my itch channel below. I have done a lot of work to it since I uploaded it. But it's on hold at the moment whilst I'm in my 2nd trimester of university making 2 other games. After April, I plan to further develop Sword and Scourge. The one with the side... Oh, you're on about the group project, Threads of Destiny. No, that's... The medieval level's finished, but it needs a tiny bit of polish in a couple of places. We're working on the World War One level at the moment. But that one's coming along nicely. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the sound queue of the locker, because there's like a little bit of a delay, so I wonder if you can what's this do? I wonder if there's a way where you can say I tell you what I'm going to do, guys. I am going to quickly... hold on. Thank you very much. Thanks, Vanilla. Give me 1 sec. Let me just... I'm just going to tweak... what is it? What sound effects? Locker. Yeah, see? There's almost like... I need to trim it a little bit, and I'll show you why, guys. If you listen to it again, it's almost like it just needs trimming by like a bit of milliseconds. Just listen. Listen carefully. You see, the door opens before the sound effects kind of... It's off by like a tiny bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to trim it. It doesn't need to be much. Probably... I'd probably say that. Okay, right, bear with me. Save as, what is that? Locker, open. Locker, open. Okay. Now what we're going to do is, because we've already got the sound effects in there, when I drag in the one I've just amended, what that's going to do is update the sound effects. So you can see the length there of the WAV. You see that? I don't know what the name is for that thumbnail where you've got the WAV. Is it WAV form? Where you see all the bars? Anyway, you can see the length there. You see at the very beginning there's like those 2 white dots. So when I drop this in, hopefully that's going to reduce. Yes, it has. Perfect. And now, if I was to save that, pause the stream music, this should now be even better than it was. And just sound a bit more in sync with the static mesh changing. Here we go. Much better. That sounds a lot better than it was before, doesn't it, guys? That sounds a lot better. So we're going to test the other. God, maintenance is so dark. Look at that. It's terrifying. Spawn chances at 68% for a creature. Hey, we've got Gelatino. Hey, dude. He fits in perfectly with this area because it's all got a blue colour scheme. It's almost meant to be. Honestly, just trimming that sound effect. Where's the robot? Shit, has he seen me? Hey, Gekanda. Right, we need to be careful, mate. We've got the robot. You can't get captured. Oh, I can hear him. Oh, fuck, fuck, fuck! Little gelatino. I mean, Gekanda. Where's Gekanda gone? Where's Gekanda? Where's Gekanda gone? Oh, he's over there. Why did you go over there, mate? Dude, you meant to follow me. So we need to look into the the perception, because you can see there he's stopped. He's meant to follow me. And you see the height. You see the capsule collider is the same. It's the same height. But the static mesh is lower. So I don't know if the AI perception goes by the static mesh, like the bone. If it goes by like the bone, like the top bone of the skeletal mesh. So there is apparently a debug way that you can check the AI sense perception. That's a bug fix. We need to check this for the sound effects. Oh, we've got Bear Coon. I am, okay, that sounds really good. Can you see that, right, so we're going to sort that. You notice we're blocked in here because he spawned on top of me. I'm going to fix that. It's a little fix. But what I was just going to point out, can you see that fan rotating over there? That's something I designed where I really wanted this light cast through and the propeller blade spinning, and you can just about see it there on the red light coming from the propeller. You can see the blade spinning. It's very cliche with industrial areas and a lot of horror films and things with like backstreet alleys where there's always like a fan going, and you know it casts that shadow. So I really wanted that effect. So let me just add a bug fix note. So I've got if the player and robot distance, smooth rotation, sort collision on the creatures, investigate, line of sight with AI perception sense creatures. Thanks for the spam view, Purposeful. Appreciate it. Right, so trimming that locker one. I'm just going to play it one more time. Just want to make sure I'm 100% happy before I don't revisit it again. Just want to make sure I'm happy. May as well check a crate and a barrel while we're at it. That music. Yeah, I'm super happy with those sound effects, guys. They are so good. Right, we can close the locker then. I might put that at 1 actually. Sorry. There's always little tweaks. It's always like stop at the point where it's like, no, it's good, leave it. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Sound cue locker done. I'm just going to check the other cues. So that was the locker. Barrel crate. Let's check the crate. 1, yeah. 1. 1. So 1 1. 1 1. Yeah, okay, perfect. So that is the what's it done then? The let me just check what I put the title of the stream as. So more sound effects implementation, that's done. And then it was stamina bar and UI. Okie dokie. Okay, so basically guys, I've got another project open where this was actually in my very first year of university. I made a kind of dungeon gauntlet runner with traps and pitfalls and things, and in there I implemented a stamina bar. So I've already done that before. It's been quite a while since I did it, so I've just got the project open and just copy the code I've previously done. And what's worth mentioning is I've created a blueprint called BP HUD. So if you go into the first person game mode, right, which is located over here in the blueprints, this one, you'll notice on the right hand side under the details we have all of these classes. So this handles everything that will happen in the level, right? And you can see here you've got a HUD class, right? And then you've got 2 here. I've created a blueprint called BP_HUD. So basically in the content drawer, if you go blueprint class, and then if you just type in HUD, you can see there, base class of the heads up display. So I've not actually done this before. In all my previous projects, I've created the widget blueprint as required, but then I've tended to draw the HUD to screen through the player blueprint, or I think the level, whereas I think this is the correct way to do it. You create a blueprint inheriting from the HUD, and then obviously in the HUD class of the first person game mode, in here is where you would select BP HUD. So I'm going to select that now. So BP HUD, I'm going to compile and save. So this is basically the blueprint that is going to just draw the HUD to screen on begin play. So I'm going to close the first person game mode. What should I start with first? Should I do the stamina bar, or should I do the... Well, I'll tell you what, I'll let you guys pick. Would you like to see me implement the stamina bar and mechanic, or would you like me to do the radial progress bar for when a player is looting an object in the scene? What would you prefer to see first? Get a bit of viewer interaction going. Stamina. Okay. Stamina it is. Welcome to the stream, Siege Lord. Alright, so this is the other game I told you about. I may as well just quickly show you it actually. So for this project, this was a first year project. We basically were given a template game and we had to design and build upon it without using any other assets. We had to use what we had available to us in the template. So I made this. What is this? Failed to compile. What's wrong here? What's going? This was is head mount. What is that? What is all that nonsense? I should be able to still. There we go. Oh no, it's not working. Okay, that's fine. The code is still there. This was made in, oh my god, it was in Unreal, a much older version, so maybe that's why there's a compile error. Right, let me just click off of there. Right, what we're interested in is assets, blueprints, God, get rid of that nonsense. This is very cluttered. Like the UI, not my code. Right, there are the traps. Pause the game. 0 health. Okay, here's the code for the stamina. Okie dokie, not too complicated. There's no timelines or anything. So what have we got here? We've got a boolean for player is sprinting. We're grabbing the character movement component on the first person character. Stamina is at 1. Okay, so you can see what's happening there, guys. On event tick, we're basically checking, is the player sprinting? If they are, we're deducting the stamina. And basically, when the player presses left shift, they're sprinting. Actually, no, see, that's interesting. I'm looking at that code and I'm like, okay, so if this boolean on event tick every frame, we're saying if the player is sprinting, we're setting the stamina deduction. So basically, looking at that logic, if we were to stand still on the spot and press left shift, our stamina will drain, going by that logic. And you can see here, left shift, movement speed's increased, right? But that doesn't make sense because you don't want the stamina to drain while the player's stationary. So what you want to do is get velocity. It should be velocity or let me just check. Get the velocity. Is there a get velocity node? There is. Returns velocity. So basically, if velocity is greater than 0, and so basically you'd have a block here. So you'd say, like if we, it doesn't matter if I put the code in here. I just copied this project. So if we do a get velocity, if you just did that, so you're basically saying, okay, if the you're getting a velocity of the player, and you're saying, are they moving basically? So moving back, forwards, or jumping. So if they're, that should be an additional here. Is the player sprinting? And is their velocity 0? If it's if that condition is false, yeah, that's basically the block. Okay, so let's have a look here. So all we need to do is left shift and then copy that code. So what have we got here? We've got a stamina float, player is sprinting boolean, stamina deduction, stamina regen. So now what we need to do is go into assets, go UI, win game, HUD, def, chamber timer, chamber def. So it'll be in here, widget blueprint HUD. So I'm going to drop this one up here, guys. And you can see the stamina bar here. Get stamina bar %. So progress style, there we go. So you got the fill image, you got the background image and the fill image. So the color scheme I'm going for the space game is going to be, I think I'm going to go for green bars on the health. I've always tended to do like this progress bar where it's just a solid bar, but for the game, because I wanted it to feel sci-fi, I was just going to do these cool little, you know, like how you get oh, what is it? You get the little cells, almost like power cells. So we're going to have 20 green power cells for the health. And then with the stamina bar, I was going to have that as just a bar. I wasn't going to have it as different cells. So cells for the health and then a bar for the stamina. If we go onto the graph, Event graph. Start game timer. So that's a game pause timer. Set the time based on world delta settings. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll create a reference to the player character on the HUD, and you can see here we're literally targeting the stamina. And this, if we go back to the designer, on the percent you click it and it becomes a function. So fairly straightforward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this project onto my other monitor, and we're going to implement this. So this is going to be going under the first person character. So if I do the code for the sprinting first, I'm going to leave this BP HUD here, but then we'll create a UI folder. I might do that now actually. Call it UI. What colour shall we go for? I hate it when it does that. There we go. Nice and bright. So we've got our UI folder. So we're going to go into blueprints. It's not in there, it's in the first person folder. I'm going to be clearing some of this out, guys, like the map and things, because we're not using that. Right, so we're going to open up the first person character. So this here handles the looting. This handles the spawn chance for the player and getting creatures. Increases spawn chance. So we're going to do... We could technically put that in there actually. It makes sense to nest that within there. I can actually get rid of all of these. This was just a developer print string, so I can see the spawn chance happening as we fail a loot. So I can actually get rid of those. And I'm leaving this outside because this is the event begin play node, and we might need that for something else. That's why that is sat outside. So, alright, let's do this. So left shift, keyboard event left shift. Okay, yeah, got ya. Okay, cool. Right, so we're gonna get the character movement. What is my walk speed at the moment, actually? So interesting. So the max walk speed is 600. I don't want to change that, so I think I'm just gonna... So by default it's 600. Set max walk speed. max walk speed 600. 600. So we're going to put that in there. And then we're going to do another one. And go for 900. Why does that one look a lot longer? Right, so if left shift is pressed, if it's pressed, we're setting the max walk speed to 900. If it's released, hold on a second. Now I know this code works. One second. Sorry, I'm just in the other project at the minute because basically if we were to press left shift, we're just going to run. But you're going to need something to say if left shift is pressed, you want to get the stamina. Oh no, hold on. No, I can see in the code, let me just show you quickly. You can see here at the bottom, if stamina equals 0, so basically this should go up here. I don't know why. Bear in mind, this was a first year project, guys. It was my first, well, second Unreal Engine game. So I'm a lot more knowledgeable now. So what we're going to do is we're going to say if left shift is pressed, we're going to add a boolean and call it is sprinting. Default value is off. So when we press left shift, we're going to say branch. So we're going to say, no, sorry. I do apologise. Oh, Mike, what are you doing, mate? What are you doing? Right, we need to create the stamina variable. We're just going to have this as a float with 1. It doesn't need to be any higher. Okay, so you can see there, stamina, float, default value is 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop in, we're going to get the stamina, and we're going to say, does it equal 0? So if the stamina if we press left shift, we're saying, is the stamina 0? Like, can the player sprint? Do they have energy to sprint? If the stamina is 0, we will do that. I'm just going to unplug that for the moment. So if stamina is 0, no, hold on. I'm just looking at the other code. So I did it on the event tick. I think that's correct. We press left shift, we check, does the player have stamina? If they don't, actually, bear with me guys, give me 1 second. Sorry, I'm just looking at the other code. Bear with me. No, that doesn't feel right to go in there. If we press left shift, that's why I put it in event tick. That's why I would have put that in event tick. Yeah, okay. Because basically, if the player's pressed shift, because the stamina regenerates every frame, right? So So basically, if I was to just say in here, if we're pressing left shift, like if the stamina is 0, like we're gonna, I think that's why I would have put it in the event tick in the other project. But that doesn't make sense, because if I'm left shifting, in the other project, if I'm left shifting, You know what? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to copy the code from the other one because it works. I know it works. So let's just stick with what works and not muff anything up. Okay, so if we press left shift, we're setting oh no, hold on. 1 second. I made that velocity check, didn't I? I'm just trying to figure out where to plug that in. Just give me a minute. Left shift, sprint in, release, not sprint in. So in event tick, if the player's sprint in and true, then we should only drain it if the velocity is greater than, right, got ya, okay. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that there. We're going to set, so if we press left shift, we're saying the player's sprinting. And we're going to set the movement speed to 900. And then separate to that, when we release left shift, when we release left shift, don't know why I did that. So we press left shift, we say the player is sprinting, we set the speed to 900. If the player releases left shift, we say they're not sprinting and we set them to normal walk speed, okay? Okay, so that handles the boolean for the sprinting. Right, stamina, so we've got stamina deduction, stamina regen. Okay, so I'm going to add another 2 booleans. Sorry, not booleans, floats. So we're going to have this called stamina drain, and then stamina regen. So stamina deduction is default 0, stamina regen is also the same. Okay, so now that we've got those, what we're going to do is we're going to have, I don't think we've got an event tick at the moment. That's E for that's the interact. Okay, so we're going to have an event tick, and then we're going to have a sequence with just two options here. Right. So the first thing we're going to have is going to be this branch. So we're going to say the first seat of the sequence is the player's stamina at 0. If true, right, so if the stamina is 0 and that is true, then we say the player isn't sprinting and we set their maximum walk speed to the default, which, as you can see up here, is the default. We can always change these variables, guys. Okay. So that's the first sequence. The second one is going to be handling stamina regen. So we're going to get the sprinting. Right, so we say, is the player sprinting? And then the gateway to basically, if the player is standing statically and not moving from their spot, if they were to hold left shift, going by the code in my other project, it theoretically would drain the stamina even if they weren't moving, which doesn't make sense. You only want to drain the stamina if the player is physically moving and has velocity. So we're going to do a gateway protection to this, and we're going to get velocity of self player, and we're going to split the struct pin, and we're going to do an equals 0, and just plug those in like that. I knew it would do that. Okay. And then we're going to do an AND. We're going to add the other two pins. Okay. So if the player is sprinting, and that's true, the protection here is, okay, they're sprinting, but are they actually moving? So are we going to start draining the stamina? Right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to set the stamina drain. So, hold on. Yeah, I think that's correct. Because if we had an or, that wouldn't make sense. So if the player is sprinting and they're not moving, so no velocity. So if they're sprinting but they're not moving, we don't want to drain stamina. So off of the false is where we want this logic to kick in. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get from the delta seconds, we're going to get a times or multiply, and this is going to be minus 0.4. I think that's okay there actually, that's not too messy. I mean, I can always tidy that up. So we get the delta seconds, we times it by minus 4. And we set the stamina drain to that. And then we're going to be getting the stamina, and we're going to add the stamina drain. We're going to add the stamina drain with the stamina, and then we're going to clamp it. The maximum is 1. So as you can see, the stamina is 1. So 0 and 1. And then we're going to set the stamina. Okay. And then the last bit to this is going to be off of the false here. So we're going to set the stamina regen. So if false, so if the player isn't sprinting, if the player's not sprinting, we're going to regenerate the player's stamina. So we're going to get the delta, and we're going to do another times, multiply, and we're going to multiply this by 0.025 and plug that in there. Just going to tidy that node up there. There we go. So if the player isn't sprinting, we're setting the stamina regen to delta seconds times 0.025. And then we're going to add, and then get the stamina. So set the stamina regen. We're going to clamp it. So the value from that goes into there. Um, 0 and 1 is the minimum and maximum. And then we're going to set the stamina. There we go. Right, let's analyze this. What we could do. No, it's not really going to work, is it? There we go. Alright. If the player's stamina is 0, we say they're not sprinting. Max walk speed is that. If they are sprinting, we're going to check if they're moving. If they're not moving, we're not draining it, but if they are moving, we're going to drain the stamina. Set the stamina drain. Yeah. And then if they're not sprinting, then we're setting the stamina regen, adding it to that. Yeah, that looks like that's all good to go. I'm going to give this the same colour, guys. Okay, so that's the spawn chance. This is for the player to sprint, and then this is the logic for sprinting. So I should be able to test this now. Yeah, so we can't get a visual feedback on that until I've done the UI for it. Okay. Stamina drain. Right, so it looks like it is working. And what we can also do is if we just have just for seeing it on screen. There you go, can you see it's regenerating, guys? The number's going up. You see that? It will eventually get to 1. So the player has a short boost, movement boost. Right, we know that's working. Fantastic. So now what we need to do is go into the HUD. So, as I said, guys, just so you know, if anyone wants to follow this, you want to go Blueprint Class and type in HUD. And then you select this one, you select it, give it a name, and then it will look like this with this icon. And then this is the blueprint for the HUD. So, event begin play. We draw the what's it to screen. Alright, so we need to create the widget. So, let's just save all. Oh, one sec, I just need to quickly do something. Look at open. Perfect. Okie dokie. So we're going to under the UI we're going to do user interface widget blueprint. Of course, widget blueprint HUD. We're going to add a canvas. Yeah, full screen. We'll just do fill screen. So all we're going to do here is just so we can see the stamina bar. We're going to anchor it to the bottom. Reset that, and then the offset. I think it was the alignment. Yeah, 0.5, 0.5 on the alignment. So you can see there, the stamina bar's dead center. So in the HUD, bear with me, guys. I think I can leave that. Let me just go to the... So hopefully when I press play, we should see that at the bottom of the screen. There it is. You see that, guys, just at the bottom? At the very bottom of the screen. So under the BP HUD, the only purpose for that is to just draw that to screen. I did do that in the past, Siege. I did do that in the past, and I've previously done it in the first person character. I've previously done it in, I think, one game. I actually did it in the level blueprint. But I think it's better to actually do it within this, where it actually, parent class, you see there, the parent class is HUD. Going on here, if I hover over it, base class of the heads up display has a canvas and a debug canvas on it, which primitives can be drawn. Simple list of simple hitboxes. Used for simple item click detection. I just think it's better to do it this way. It's the first time I'm doing it this way. It feels like the previous ways I've done it haven't been necessarily the correct way. So, but you can see there, as I said, we're in the blueprint for the HUD. And all we're doing is on begin play, we are creating the HUD and adding it to the viewport. And if you go onto the first person game mode under class defaults, you see over here on the details panel, HUD class. And then I've selected the BP HUD that I've made. So even though I've not dragged this blueprint into the scene, the first person game mode is kind of creating it on starting the game. So that's why, I mean, I'm not an expert, so just my understanding is that this is a better way of doing it, I think. And you can see when we press play, you can see at the bottom middle, it's there. So I feel this is a much more efficient way of doing it. Right, so this is slightly outside of the view space. So what we need to do is we need to move this up. So if I do Y 50, right, it needs to be negative 50. Okay, so that's right there. We don't want that right there, so let's go 20 maybe. There we go, so you can see snapping. Is that literally on it? Minus 15. That looks like that is dead in line. You see the blue is on the green, so minus 15. Perfect. Okay, so we have the stamina bar. I'm going to make it longer. I'm going to go 200. Because what we're going to have above the stamina, we're going to have the health. How does that feel? So I don't want to overload the HUD. What I might do, I might actually stretch that out even more. See how 500 feels. Because you've got to remember, we're going to have 20 health cells going across there, above the stamina bar. And then to the left of it, I was going to have a little kind of 4x4 grid of the creatures that you found. And then to the right is going to be the proximity sensor when you're escorting a creature. I feel that's okay for the size of that. If we imagine the cells, the health bar cells, to be the same thickness and above, I feel that's a nice HUD. It's central of the view. When we're draining our stamina, we'll see that fill up. What's happened to the music? Oh, it's still going. Okay. Right, so now what we need to, if I'm in my other project, so just for the time being, we're going to just do this nice and simple. We're going to fill it from left to right. The style. So if we have the fill image, like there isn't an image there. When we've made I'm going to make the UI in Photoshop, but just for this stage of functionality, think I want it to be cyan. So the fill image is going to be that. Background image. We'll have as black. Actually, no, black's too bold. What about if we just went for like something that's not pure black, but just light up a little bit, so a little tiny bit grey. How does that look? Okay. Yeah, that's quite clear. I think the cyan's going to contrast nicely against that, because pure black is just too black, whereas that's like you can see that it's quite subtle. And like I say, this is just placeholder until I've actually created the little HUD image in Photoshop. So we've got the fill color to be cyan. So now what we need to do, guys, is compile, save. So we click on the percent of the progress. We click here, and it's going to create a binding. And this is it. Get the stamina bar. Okay. Now, what we can also do in the event graph, we can create a player reference. So we're going to select all in there, compile, save, and we're going to say begin event construct. There we go. So when this is drawn to screen, we're basically going to cast to first person character. And we're going to create this as the reference. Variable name, player ref. Okay. Oh, okay. Let's get some porn. There we go. So we're setting the player reference now, and I like to use green for my colours when it comes to anything like that's at the beginning of play. I don't know, I just relate green to go, green to start. So now that we've got our player reference in the stamina bar, what we can do is drop in our player reference, and then we can get stamina. And then divide by 1. Plug that into there. Compile, save, play. Look at that, guys. We've got a stamina bar. Hey, baby! This is how we do it. That freaked me out when that hiss came from the door. And that is how you do a stamina bar, guys. I don't feel like that took too long. So you can imagine that with a nice sci-fi looking HUD that I will make. It's nice, isn't it? And we know that our movement speed is being increased by 300. So this is going to be a mechanic to kind of help the player escape the robot. So it's not going to help you if you're escorting a creature though, because if you go too fast from a creature, they will run away and panic and hide. So it's more to it's more to be used to kind of avoid the robots. And I don't want the stamina regen to be stupidly fast. Oh, he almost saw me. Oh, that's interesting. Notice I'm holding left shift. At the moment, I'm holding left shift. Okay, so I'm holding left shift. I'm not moving. I'm stopping the stamina bar by holding left shift. See that? But then if I hold it and move forward, it drains. So you remember the code I implemented? We can close BP HUD. We don't need to use that now. If we just go into the code here, if the player is sprinting and they're not moving, what we should do off of the true is regenerate the stamina. Okay? So I'll just show you that again, guys. If we drain our stamina a bit, we hold left shift. I'm looking around. I'm going to remove that jump mechanic. We're not going to have a jump, guys. So I'm holding left shift. It's not I'm not moving. The bar's not filling. So by this bit, the only time stamina stains, the only time the stamina drains is if the player has velocity and they're sprinting. So off of the true, if they are sprinting and they're static, we're gonna regenerate the stamina. Compile save. So now, if we drain our stamina, and then I'm currently holding left shift. Hear that? And we can see the stamina bar's regenerating. So like we're raring to go basically. I've got my trigger finger. I'm holding left shift. Bug fix. That's the stamina bar, guys. So simple, isn't it? And for those of you, well, you've been watching, if you want to know how to do a stamina bar, that's all the code that's required. Not too complicated at all. And if you want to affect the rate at which it drains, then all you need to do is play with this little multiplier here. And also with the regeneration rate, you can set that in here. And these are the values that work. As you can see, I feel it's a fair stamina regen rate. You know, you're going to be focused on looting, looking for creatures. The only time I guess you should really use the stamina is if you're in pursuit by the robot, or I don't know, if you see an opportunity to get somewhere, quickly loot before a robot discovers you. But yeah, it feels like it's a nice one. I'm just going to change the colour of that. Interesting. So, cyan. It looks more blue than it does cyan. That is definitely more blue, isn't it? Maybe that's because it's against the black. It doesn't matter. We're going to be sorting that out anyway, guys. Basically, the tint would be set to white. Because what we would have is we would have the background image. And that image would have the colour. So, yeah. I mean, what I could also do to make it look... in Photoshop, I can do an overlay. I can have like an overlay, which is the cell level, and then beneath that we can have the green bar. And then when I make it, we'll just export 2 versions of it. But anyway, that is the stamina bar functionality. It works nice. It recharges. I hope you like that, guys. Nice and simple. That's all my own code. I haven't looked that up anywhere. That is all my own work. So I think I can close the... I think I can actually close the other project. Yeah, I can close the other project now. I'm going to have a drink of my coffee. So we've got the stamina bar. Now what I want to do is I want to create a radial progress bar for the looting mechanic. Which is going to be interesting, isn't it? Because that's going to be interesting. How am I going to handle that? Interact. Okay. Set is looting. So if we just go into this one, player character is looting false. Okay, so we can see in here we have a duration, a float of 5 seconds. So what you want to do is basically over the course of 5 seconds you'd want to timer. Would it be timer? Right, so what have we done so far tonight? We've implemented the 3 sound effects for the lootables. We've programmed the stamina functionality. Just want to try and get a quick radial progress bar done for the looting, because at the moment the player can loot an object, but they're not getting any feedback that they're looting. They don't know that they're looting. They just hear the rummaging sound. Just wondering where I should put that. I mean, we could put it center screen for the time being, and then change it if we want to. So if I go to my UI folder, we're going to create a user interface widget blueprint, and this is a user widget. I'm going to call it WBP widget blueprint underscore looting. Open that up, compile, save, search for canvas, drop that on there, compile, save. We're gonna drop in a progress bar. I'm sure there was a radial. Oh, I'm actually going to change that to a rounded box. Looks a bit nicer. I've not done a radial progress radial slider. There must be a way you can do a radial progress bar. Sliding bar with a handle. Oh my god. Let's get rid of that. Spinner progress. A throbber widget that orients images in a spinning circle. What? What is a throbber widget? I've never heard of that. Oh, that's weird. Look, it's like that's interesting. Right, there must be a way. Apparently there's a common UI plugin. Let me just have a look, guys. Beta. Oh, it's a bit risky, isn't it? Epic recommends using caution when shipping projects with beta plugins. Beta plugins support backwards compatibility for assets and APIs. Performance, stability and platform support may not be shipping quality. What do you reckon, guys? I've queried this with AI quickly and it's suggesting the best way is to create a custom material mask and apply it to an image widget. Christ almighty, this isn't something I've done. I just really wanted a radial progress bar. Alright, let's give this a go. Create a new material. I'm going to call it M radial. I'm just going to call it M radial. User interface, okay. I'm pretty sure that Unity has a radial progress bar built in. I'm sure of it. So add our parameter, progress. Default is 0. So, oh fudge. If we have it as 5, so the slider max is 5. There we go. Which is 5 seconds. Um, oh my god, what is this putting me through? What is this putting me through? So I've asked AI about this. I feel like I need to look up a radial progress bar, guys. Just because this is just a bit. Oh no, adverts. Sorry, guys. Right, I think what I need to do is look up the radial progress bar offline and just see how it's done, because it's a shame that it doesn't seem to have just some kind of option for like a radial option. We'll scale up from the midpoint. Of course. You... Oh, cheeky mare. Alright, we're going to quickly... we're not abandoning hope. Apparently, this bar fill type from center, if we just quickly just made a circle, if you give me 1 minute, guys, I am just going to hop into Photoshop real quick. Um, 50. If I called it. Right, I'm just going to make a circle. Oh, dude. So I got an outline. What colour shall we go for? Let's just do black and orange, just for the moment. Alright, one sec. Export as ping. Background. Fill. Okay, so we're going to put these in here. There we go. So we're going to center this there. Alignment 0.5.5, and then the background image is that, and the fill image is that. Thanks for the spam view, Hunted. Why is it doing it as a box? Ah, there we go. So you see here we have mask, does it as a square, but if you choose scale, so we can have it on the percent, it just goes up like that. I don't know why that's coming out green though. It's orange. Why is that? Why is that green? Why is that coming up as green? Why the fuck is that green? Ah. Fill color and opacity. Obviously those colors are temporary. It's just for functionality, guys. So there's our radial slider, basically. I mean, yeah, you want fill from center. Okay. So compile and save that. Is there somewhere where we can create the binding? That's annoying, isn't it? It needs to be 5 seconds. We want that to fill over... I wonder if I could promote that to a variable. I'm just going to test this, guys. If we promoted that to a variable, if we promote the delay to a variable, we know it's going to be 5, then we fill that. Just trying to think. The problem is Sorry, give me one sec, guys. We just want to say, over the course of 5 seconds, fill the bar. That's going to be wrong. We just want this to fill over the course of if loop duration is 5. Hmm. Don't think that's the right node. I feel stumped. All I need is over the course of 5 seconds. Oh. It's like we need to promote that to... You know what? I'm going to just promote this to a variable. Oh, for fuck's sake. Sorry, guys. Oh, God, I love the YouTube adverts. Right, so we're in the looting. What we want to do is... plug it in there. Yeah, okay. Oh, hold on a minute. What a numpty. Let's test it. So that's for the barrel. Oh my god, it works! I've done it, guys. Fantastic. Oh, we've got it. Oh, hello, dude. Oh, that works really nicely. Right, so literally, all that was required there was this. So we have on the designer, we've got the looting in the center of the HUD. Just trying to think, guys, bear with me. So basically we need a nice circle UI element. We need a nice circular UI element that I'll design. And then, yeah, we'll think about the colours. So the code for the looting then, so basically we have one variable, what did I call this one? Just stamina bar, looting bar. Yeah, so essentially what's happening then, guys, is we have one float variable, default value 0. So whenever the looting widget blueprint is constructed and drawn to screen, every time that happens, we are setting the loot duration to 0, because what we don't want to happen is if we didn't have that, the next time the player would come to loot something else, it would appear as like a full progress. So we're saying each time make sure it's 0, and then on event tick we're basically dividing delta time by 5 seconds, and then we're adding that to the loot duration float we made, and we're clamping it at a value of 1. And then we're setting the loot duration, and then within the get percent, all we're doing is getting the loot duration, dividing it by 1, plonking it into there, and it works. So very, very straightforward there, guys. So all we need to do then is basically, these are temporary, the background and the fill, they're just temporary things. So we're in the barrel at the moment, so it looks a mess, but it works. So what we're going to do is we're going to make room for this. So we're just going to move this along. Okay. I can actually get rid of that because we've done the radial progress bar. Okay. So that's the lootable barrel. So what I'll do is I'll open up lootable crate. There we go. Right, so what we need to do is, after the deactivate, we're plugging this in before the delay, and then before the activate. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to get this, I'm just going to move it along, and then copy these ones, paste that into the thing there. We move this back, that goes into there, that goes into there, that goes into there. Get rid of that. Oh, guys. Oh, it works so nicely. I know it's placeholder at the minute, guys, but okay, so that's lootable barrel done, the lootable crate done, so now I just need to mimic it for these ones. So we're just going to move this along, make room, go into here, we're going to copy these ones, copy and pasta, that goes in there, this one comes over here, into there, into there, into there, get rid of the comment, let's lock a B, blue, so then we can close that one, lock a blue, lock a copper, into there, into there, into there. Yep, and then into the green one. Into there, into there. Oh, yeah, no, that's fine. I was getting a bit stumped there. Basically, where I was trying to, before, where I was trying to do the event tick, I was trying to do it within the function, and I literally had the event graph of the bloody widget blueprint, so it's probably because I'm tired. No rest for the wicked, guys. No rest for the wicked. Right, now we're going to do a playtest. So all of those literally have the same thing happening with the widget looting. So I'm going to save all, and then we're going to test. So we should now be able to test. Yeah, that works. Test this one. Let's test this one. Oh, you got gelatine. That is so nice to see working, guys. Right, we're going to check the locker over here. So just checking all the lockers, the radial progress bar does work. So we've checked science, we've checked office, we've checked atrium. Oh great, I'm blocked in now by 2 creatures. So that works, guys. The no, fuck off! Fuck off, mate! I'm testing. This is actually quite scary. Nice. Okay. Right, dude. You can be my light. Really, really not. Oh, dude, Gekando, you've blocked me in, bro. Yeah, we're gonna fix that, guys. Don't worry. Right. So, guys, we have literally we've I feel like we've done quite a lot tonight. What have we done? We've implemented the sound effects for looting. Sound effects for looting. Crate, barrel, and the lockers. We've implemented the stamina, so we've literally got a functioning stamina bar mechanic. We've got the very basic HUD set up, so it's correctly drawn to screen. It's been done through the right blueprint actor, like the parent class. And we've now got this really cool, just nice to see, a radial progress bar. You know, every lootable now will have this. Obviously that's placeholder, so I'll rework it and make it look sexy. But at least the player now gets some visual feedback that we're in the process of looting. You can see how long it is you've got remaining. So really nice feedback for the player on that. So I'm stuck. So I think that's a good time to call the video, guys. That's a 3-hour stream. That's not bad. I'm very happy with the progress tonight. Which means, you know, I can start thinking about the health bar, the creature part, just basically the HUD elements. Because where we've got the stamina bar, above that you'll have the same size with the health bars, sorry, I'm just trying to think. Yeah, so you have stamina bar, then a health bar above it. To the left of both of those, you have the creatures, and then to the right of that, I was going to have some kind of proximity warning. So if the player moves too far away from a creature, they will basically lose the creature. So we're going to call the stream there. If you enjoyed it, guys, feel free to give us a follow on Twitch to stay up to date. If you want to see any previous streams I've done, feel free to check out my YouTube. I've got a link to that below, and I've got playlists for Unreal, Unity and Blender. And if you want to play any games I've made, go check out my itch as well. There's also a link below. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay safe, and I will see you in the next stream.